are you guys doing? Are we still awake? Yeah, all right, great. Well, I'm so excited to be able to be here today to share with all of you. Today, I am so excited to be able to share this idea of the split second that could change your life. Now, you might be wondering, what is this split second that could change your life? What exactly could happen in a split second that could change your life? I mean, a split second's pretty quick, right? It's that. Well, before we get into this topic, I want to play a little game with all of you, all right? It's a simple game. I'm going to show you a series of pictures. As we go through these pictures, I want you to make a judgment. If you like what you see, I need you to give 2 thumbs up, all right? And if you don't like what you see, I need you to give 2 thumbs down, all right? We're in the Facebook culture, right? Thumbs up means like, thumbs down means dislike. So, really simple. Now it's an intimate space, so I can see if you're not participating, all right? So everybody participate, okay? Here we go. Cleaning, thumbs up or down? All right, a lot of thumbs down. All right, stinky tofu, up or down? I see a lot of unsures. Spiders. Ooh. Roller coasters. Flying. Studying. A lot of the students with the negative, huh? All right, running. Rainy days. Okay. All right, so thank you for participating in that. Now, that was just a little fun activity to illustrate what I'm talking about today. If you notice, it took us less than a second to make a decision about these things. Am I right? You looked at the picture, and within a second, you decided like or dislike. And what is that? And why is that? You see, actually, as we go through life, we're constantly faced with making decisions and judgments on things. That's how we survive in this world. This is what I call the perceived value. Your perceived value, it's kind of like a pair of glasses that you put on. And these glasses affect how you look at the world and how you perceive things. See, a lot of times what we think happens is that something happens, right? We see something or we hear something. We smell something, taste something, or feel something. And then this stimulus goes into our brain. And we think that what happens is that right away, we just come out with a response. And we're responding to what we see. But actually, what we don't realize is that there's actually a filter on our minds. And so what we're actually responding to is that filter. And what that filter tells us what we're experiencing. And not necessarily what is actually happening. So going back to the example of the rainy day. We say that rainy day is bad weather, right? We say, oh, the weather's really bad today. And we mean that it's raining or it's stormy outside. But why is that? Have you ever thought about that? Are rainy days actually bad? If every single day were sunny, it would be pretty cool, right? But if it never rained, what would happen? We'd have a drought. Plants would die, animals would die, we would die. So actually, rainy days are good, right? So why do we say that it's bad weather? This perceived value. So what actually happens is we have this stimulus come in, and then we go through our filter, and then we give a response. And this response can affect our mood. This is why it's so important and why this split second could change your life. Because when you become aware of this split second, when you're aware of this filter that you have, you can change it and you can shift it to affect your mood. Just a quick example from my own life. This is my oldest daughter. She's 5 now, but she was born 3 months premature. And this is my hand. All right, 654 grams. This is my hand. See how big she was. Doctors at that time told us you have to prepare your heart. We don't know if she's going to make it. She's really weak. She's really small. And in fact, when she was born, she died. her heart stopped and she stopped breathing for 7 minutes. They had to revive her. And then for the first month, they told us, you need to prepare your heart. She might not make it. Under any normal circumstance, this is a cause for anxiety and depression and sadness. And my wife and I, we went through that. We went through moments of doubt. What did we do wrong? We went through moments of pain and struggle. Why did this happen to our daughter? But we had a shift. We chose to not focus on the negative. We chose that we were going to take this opportunity and grow from it. We chose and clung to our faith in God, and we said, God has a purpose in this child. God has a purpose in this situation. We're going to use this to bless others. We're going to use this, and we're going to speak out and help others in the situation and encourage them. So we turned a negative situation through our perceived value, and we turned it around. And we affected our mood. We affected the moods of those around us. This perceived value can also affect your health. Think about it. Why do you exercise or not exercise? I cannot, for the life of me, understand why anybody would run a marathon. It is just not fun for me. I mean, why would you put yourself through that? But some people get so much pleasure out of running. And running for 4 hours for them is heaven. For me, that would be torture. But see, that's the perceived value, right? So your perceived value, it affects the choices that you make with your health, the food that you eat, when you go to bed, things like that. It affects your finances. What do you choose to spend your money on? Are you constantly chasing the newest gadgets? Are you switching cell phones every year, every few months? That is all your perceived value, because you feel that to have the newest gadget gives you value. Your habits. How many people shower in the morning? Okay? How many people shower at night? All right. Is it really better to shower in the morning or at night? No. There is no right or wrong here, right? It's just your preference. And where's that preference come from? It comes from your perceived values. So if you want to change your habits, you need to change how you perceive things, perceive your value. It also affects your career. Some of us avoid doing things because we're afraid. Where does that fear come from? Our perceived value. For example, flying, we talked about earlier. Flying is fun, but for some people, flying is terrifying. Why? Because of the value that they've assigned to this idea of flying. So if you're afraid of flying, you're not going to be a pilot. You're not going to work as a flight attendant, right? So it's going to affect your career choices. It's also going to affect the different things that you do and you choose to experience. And you might miss out on some really great things because you are not aware of your perceived value. It affects your relationships. Now, this is my wife and my 2 daughters. This is the preemie, the 5-year-old, and this is our 2-year-old. Pretty cute, right? I love this family. And I'm constantly learning as a husband and as a father how perceived value affects our relationships. One, it affects who we allow to enter our lives. It affects who we interact with. If I see this person as annoying, I'm going to do my best to avoid them, right? If I see this person as, wow, I love them, or I see something of value in them, I'm going to give them my time. This perceived value also affects how we interact. Why? A lot of times, our parents, our wives, our husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, whatever, these people in our lives, they do things, and then we respond back to them. We think that we're actually responding to what they did or what they said, but we're actually responding to our interpretation of what they did or what they said. So for example, my wife really loves to help me. She always reminds me to do different things. Now to some, like myself, I can interpret that as being nagging. And I hate being nagged. And so, therefore, I respond out of annoyance. Is that going to help my relationship with my wife? I'm sorry, no, it's not. So what do I have to do? I have to be aware. I have to realize, hey, my wife is actually trying to help me and not trying to nag at me. This perceived value is very, very important. So we see this perceived value actually affects our life in general. Many different things are affected by how we look at it. So what do we do? First, you're already taking the first step right now. You're becoming conscious. You're becoming aware of this perceived value. You need to start realizing, how am I looking at this world? And once you realize how you're looking at this world, you can decide whether you need to make adjustments. So number one, be conscious. Next, get some context. This is a picture of an old story. We have some blind people here. They're trying to figure out what an elephant is like. Some people are touching the elephant's leg, and they're like, oh, I know what an elephant is like. It is like a tree. Okay. Some people are touching the tail, and they think, no, the elephant is like a rope. Other people touch the tusk, and they think, you're wrong. The elephant is like a sword. And they start arguing back and forth without realizing that each and every one of them actually only has a small part of the picture. They need a bigger context. Another example from my own life. Recently, our 5-year-old daughter, for some reason, decided that she was going to go into the bathroom, bring a rag with her, soak the rag, take that soaking rag out of the bathroom, and walk it out into the living room, leaving a trail and a puddle of water in her wake. Now, as a parent, she's making a mess. So your initial reaction is what? Oh my gosh, stop it. I'm going to have to clean that up later. It is absolutely frustrating. And in that moment, you just want to yell. Thankfully, my wife had the right mindset to stop and to ask our daughter, Alicia, what are you doing? And she responded, bang bang, which means she wanted to help. And we realized that she was trying to help us wipe the floor. Why? I don't know. The floor wasn't dirty, but she wanted to wipe the floor. Okay. But in that moment of taking that second to think, to ask, Alicia, what are you doing? It helped to take away that anger. Right? Because we realized that her heart was to help. That context can shift your perceived value in a second. Also, conditioning. Learning how to condition your mind. I'll give you an example. I mentioned running. I don't like to run. But exercise can do what? Well, it can help me get stronger. And when I'm stronger, I'll have more energy. And when I have more energy, I can be more productive. And then I can accomplish more. Then I can be more successful, have more influence, and impact lives. So as I go through this exercise, all of a sudden, exercise leads me to realize that I'm impacting lives rather than being something that's a detriment or a chore. Another example, budgeting. I don't like to budget. I'd rather just spend my money. I think budgeting is tedious. But if I think of budgeting and I realize that if I'm more aware of where my money goes, then I can manage my money better. And then I can fix money leaks, which means that I can be aware of where my money is going, where it maybe doesn't need to go. I can save more money that way. And as a result, I can have more money to spend on important things. Then I can prepare better for the future, have more options available, and my family members and myself are free to pursue our dreams. So all of a sudden, budgeting goes from being a chore to being something that can allow my family and I to achieve our dreams. Is that a shift? Definitely. So are you conscious today? Are you aware of this filter? Now you are. And as you go through life, I think it's good for you if you would take a second to really be conscious and aware of what you're thinking and how you're thinking and how you're perceiving things before you respond. As you adjust, you'll probably become more open to different experiences. You'll try different things that you maybe didn't want to try before and have new experiences that you maybe would never have had. All of these things will go to change your life and to enrich your life and to make you even more successful. Thank you everyone for your time today. Be blessed.